So hello everyone. Let's introduce the group. So we are Anes and Massine, and we are going to talk about Brazilian real. So in the first part, we are going to talk about the history of this currency. After we are going to see how is the current process, and at the end to finish, we are going to talk about the behavior with social and politics. So let's start by talking about the history. Since it was established as an independent nation in 1822, Brazil has had at least 7 different currencies and 12 different currency regimens. The original currency name was given by the Portuguese crown when Brazil was founded as a Portuguese colony in 15. Brazil's currency was traditionally linked to the gold standard until 1971, when that system was abandoned around the globe. So, as we said, the real was introduced July 1st, 1994, and initially maintained at parity with the US dollar. To achieve this, the central bank was required to intervene in the currency market, selling dollar from its foreign currency reserves. The new currency replaced the short-lived Cruzeiro real. In 1997, they stopped the using of the first series of real coins, and from 1996 to 1998, the Central Bank of Brazil controlled the exchange rate so that the real depreciated slowly and smoothly in relation to the dollar, dropping from near 1 real $1 to 1.2 real for $1 by the end of 1998. In 1998, the second series of real coins were introduced, and today it's still being used. In 1999, the deterioration of the international markets disrupted by the Russian default forced the central bank, under its new president Arminio Fraga, to float the exchange rate. This decision produced a major devaluation. The government was forced to allow the real to float freely against the dollar. The real underwent a devaluation of more than 20%, and he passed from 1.20 for $1 to more than 1.60 for $1. Until late 2002, when the prospect of the election of leftist candidate Luizio Inácio Lula da Silva, considered a radical populist by sectors of the financial market, prompted another currency crisis and a peak inflation. Many Brazilians feared another default on government debts or a resumption of heterodox economic policy, and wished to exchange their real into tangible assets of foreign currencies. In October 2002, the exchange rate reached its historical low to almost 4 real Brazilian for $1. In 2007, for the first time since 2001, the real was rated higher than the USD, reaching 0.5 real for $1. Even though the central bank, concerned about its effect on the Brazilian economy, has tried to keep it below that symbolic threshold. The exchange rate as of September 2015 was 4.05 Brazilian real for $1. However, it has since been in a gradual recovery period, reaching now 3 Brazilian real for $1 in February 2017.
As Anes said, the new modernized real was introduced in 1994 to stabilize the Brazilian economy. At the stage, the exchange rate was 1 real equal 1 USD. In 1999, because Brazil allowed the real to float more or less freely against other currencies, the currency can suffer by some active management by the government, which has been deemed by traders and analysts as a dirty float. Also, it still floats against other currencies. The country's central bank has used varying mechanisms to manage the strength of the real over the years, including direct sales and purchase of dollars on the spot market, currency swap, and repurchase agreements. And the new president of the central bank decided to release the control over the exchange rate, and the real suffered a massive devaluation to 2 real equal 1 USD. In 2002, the real reached its lowest exchange rate against the USD, 4 real equal 1 USD. So the story of the value of the real in recent years has been influenced by internal and external struggles over Brazil's budget and foreign trade and industrial policies, as well as the global prices of commodities that make up a key component of the country's overseas trade balance. In the nearly 2 decades since it was allowed to float against the dollar, the real has varied from height of around BRL 1.16 per dollar to lows of over BRL 4.4 per dollar. So, in addition to local policy factors, the currency has shown itself particularly sensitive to alteration in U.S. interest rates that alter foreign investment flows to emerging markets.
So now we are going to talk about behavior with politics and social. And first of all, we are going to talk about politics. The most recent case is the presidential election between Jair Bolsonaro and Fernando Haddad. So the first one, Jair Bolsonaro want to authorize the possession of weapons for good people, and he also wants to reduce the debt, creating a parallel retirement system and reduce the number of departments. In the other case, there is Fernando Haddad, who would like to control the possession of weapons and improve traceability, and he also don't want privatization, and he wants the participation of Petrobras in all deep waters oil exploration projects. So to understand the behavior of the Brazilian real with the politics, we have this chart, and we can see that there is 3 parts of decrease. The first one is this one in yellow, and it's due to the uncertainty of the politics in the country, and it's due to the survey who placed J in first position. The second decrease is in red, and it's due to the dates of the first round of the election. And the third decrease, and it's also the date when the Brazilian real was at his minimum. It's the date of the second. It's not the date. It's the Friday before the second round of the election. And after that, we know that Jair won the election, and we can see that the Brazilian real it's increasing a little bit, and we can maybe imagine another decrease after the date when he will become officially the new president of Brazil.
Now we are going to talk about behavior with social, and particularly the Brazilian general strike. So the 2017 Brazilian general strike took place on April 28, so 100 years after Brazil's first general strike in June 1997. The movement was a protest against reforms of labor laws, which were later adopted, and social security proposed by Michel Temer government and pending in National Congress of Brazil. Polls suggest President Temer is very unpopular, and many private and public schools are closed across the country. In Sao Paulo, The country's biggest city, most bus, metro and train services are not operating. So there are a few people on the streets here and it feels like a holiday. The country has also been hit by rising unemployment, and government statistics released on Friday say more than 14 million people are out of work. President Temer says capping pension benefits and raising the retirement age will fix the finances of the country as it undergoes the worst recession in more than a century. The president has said that the austerity measures are needed to prevent future crises such as suffered by Portugal, Spain or Greece. If we are looking the chart, we can see that there is a constantly decrease of the BRL for 2.53% and increase as 8.84%. So the impact of this general strike was very hard for the BRL. Brazil's Senate has voted to remove President Dilma Rousseff from office for manipulating the budget. It puts an end to the 30 years in power of her left-wing Workers' Party. Mrs. Rousseff has denied the charges. 61 senators voted in favor of her dismissal and 20 against, meeting the two-thirds majority needed to remove her from the presidency. Michel Temer has been sworn in as president and will serve out Mrs. Rousseff's term until the 1st January 2019. She was accused of moving funds between government budgets, which is illegal under Brazilian law. In fact, Brazilian government has required to meet budget surplus targets set in Congress. So Mrs. Rousseff is accused of allowing creative accounting techniques involving loans from public banks to the treasury that artificially enhance the budget surplus. Her critics said she was trying to plug deficit holes in popular social programs to boost her chances of being re-elected in 2014. So Mrs. Rousseff fought the allegations, agreeing that her right-wing rivals had been trying to remove her from office ever since her re-election. Thank you for your attention.